I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Roy Potter and this is of course the Potter Expositor. I'm recording this on 6 May 2018 and yes, it's a little more formal than I've been doing the last little while. We'll do some live streams this week, a little more relaxed, still try to wear a shirt and tie, but I just thought it was time to do a more formal presentation, so here we go. Many more important things are happening right now. It's incredible the way things are coming about. The most important thing is the progress of the coup and what's happening. We have Nunes going after AG Sessions, rightly so. He says he's going to hold him in contempt of Congress this week. We have the situation with the DOJ and the FBI withholding the information from Congress that's been requested for so long. All of this is wrong, or if you or I did that, we'd be in a lot of trouble. And these people that head the government, they need to be held to a higher standard of requirements than the normal populace. And this thing has always been upside down for a long time, where just because they're in those positions of power, they aren't held to account. And hopefully that's turning around. Mueller's in trouble, of course, because of a lot of things, really. But the Judge Ellis, has basically said that he is a liar. That their team is lying, and that the real reason for what they're doing is a coup d'etat against the President of the United States. This was momentous. Now, he's given them 2 weeks, basically, to bring the information that he's not requested, but demanded, which is the unredacted version of Rosenstein's directive to Mueller. Now, it looks like that's going to go in our favor and in Trump's favor, but I've seen this with federal judges before. No dispersion on Ellis. But things happen behind the scenes, and he could hold back and not rule in 2 weeks the way we anticipate he will. But if he does, Trump needs to move right then and go directly on the offensive. It's time to arrest these criminals and traitors in the government, at least the top tier, and I'm not going to rename them again here because we have some other things we want to talk about. But it's very important. Lionel of Lionel Nation had a very good stream today about this, and I think it's really important that we take all of that into consideration he talks about. It's an absolute must. Now, there are those, including my Republican friend, that insider, and he says, no, Trump can't afford to do that because there's too much against him. He doesn't have the support of his party. The way I look at it right now, and this is from a military perspective, but Lionel from a legal perspective and others, is that Trump must do this. They're going to try to impeach him anyway. He ought to go ahead and arrest them and throw everything at these people. Everything that Lionel just says a couple of things. Just charge them with anything that they violated. But I'd say just throw the book at all of them. And then tell the Congress and all the rest of these Dems and these sinful, evil people, go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try to impeach me or whatever. We're going forward with these prosecutions. Now, the real question is, who's he going to get to do it? I don't know the details of that, but somebody's got to help Trump there, and I suppose Rudy Giuliani will help him, although I don't think Giuliani can't bring any criminal charges that I'm aware of. But if they hold AG Sessions in contempt, Trump can fire him and maybe put Rudy in there. We'll see how all this works out, but Trump has to go on the offensive and go after these criminals seriously now, absolutely. Now, that's basically where I want to end up. There are a lot of other things I could talk about, but I don't want this to be a long video because I do that anyway. But I'm going to make a request now, and I'm going to do it again at the end of the video. And the request I have is this. I don't ask for money. I don't expect it. I'm doing this, as I've long said, because I'm trying to unload some karma. But I could use some help getting the word out. Now, there are a lot of people doing this, and I don't want to disparage the efforts of anyone. They're all doing great. But I have kind of a different take than most people do, as most of my listeners understand. And I would like to have a couple of extra people. You know, I brought some guests on my live stream show, and I want to do some more, primarily on the topic I'm going to talk about here in a minute, but also on the situation with the government and the coup, etc. So this is what I'm going to ask you. In the description box below, I've listed 4 people. I'm going to name them here, okay? Lionel, Rachel Reestra, Anthony Shaffer, and Jerome Corsi. Some of you might say, why Jerome Corsi? I have my reasons. I've already sent emails or other messages, usually DMs on Twitter, to them to ask them if they come on the show. But I'm one voice out of how many people are contacting them. So this is my request to you subscribers and listeners. In the description box, as I said, is their contact information. Just a simple, I'm not asking for any money, like I said. So just choose one of them, or maybe all 4 if you feel like it, and just contact them and say, go on Roy Potter's show. That's all you need to say. Go on Roy Potter show. You can show them the Roy Potter QA if you want for the YouTube channel, and give them my Twitter account too, @RoystonPotter, if you like. But that's all you need to do. And what I'm trying to do is get their attention. With me, constantly sending them messages, it's not really, I guess, the right sociable thing to do, I suppose. But if I get some help from all of you, they'll see some other people saying, hey, this might work. Maybe we should. So if you would do that, I'm going to mention that at the end of the video. Okay, part of this video, when I was making my trip back home, I went through some absolutely horrendous chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injection. It was as bad as I saw in Las Vegas about 4 years ago, where the spray was actually starting to settle out, and it was really, really bad. So, I did some extra looking, studying on this, just enough, thank goodness, to a friend of mine who sent me some information that I was able to look over. And I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. There are a lot of people that you can go to and find out the information on this chemtrailing, how bad it is, both in the process of poisoning the water, the air, our bodies, interfering with photosynthesis, the 5G network, how it all plugs into that problem and what their plans are with that. All of that. I mean, there's just so much. Rachel Reestra, for instance, the reason why I included her in that list is because she actually went to a doctor who said, hey, you've got a bronchitis type situation that's we're calling chemtrail lung. And I don't know how much trouble he got into for that. But the point is that she's been aware of this for a long time, and she's a friend of Richie from Boston's. So I'd like to talk to her about her situation, give her some more exposure, and myself as well. I mean that in the media way, okay? You understand. All right. But this I look at as a serious problem. Both Monograph, Dutch Sins, if you're aware of these people on the YouTube, and there are a lot of others, Pam Jones from Liberty, have been warning about this SAI, I'm going to call it, for a long time, especially how it interfaces with the 5G threat that we're looking at. Now, technology is great, but the elites are going to use this for evil, not for benefiting us to help us go to the stars. To help them go to the stars, maybe, but not us. This is a thing that they're going to use to really cause mankind a lot of problems. And if you look into it, you'll understand that. So I'd like you to listen to what I'm going to say here. I'm going to try to make it brief. I'm going to be talking about a lady by the name of Elana Freeland. Now, some of you are going to say, oh, no, not her. Look, just because a person doesn't have a degree in physics or whatever, some scientific thing, doesn't mean that they're not intelligent enough to know that 1 + 1 = 2. This lady is very intelligent, and she's given a good presentation, and it's in the description box below as well. It's called Under an Ionized Sky, Chemtrails and the Space Fence Lockdown. And people are probably going to say, Roy, why are you quoting people like this? Look, this is a group effort. And when somebody has done as much work as Elana has done, I think that it needs to get out there. She's very intelligent. She's very well spoken, very well read, and does a very good presentation. That's why I'm not going to take a lot of time here, because you can go watch hers. But it was from a talk that she gave in Portland, Oregon, probably 3 years ago. And I'm just going to refer to a couple of things to highlight in her discussion, because I think these are important. Because this poisoning by these chemtrails of our bodies, with all of those substances that we've talked about before, and including bioweapons, but then the energizing of the atmosphere and our bodies and everything. I mean, you know, one of the things in the scriptures is God says, right? He says that he knows, or not even a hair off our heads are lost to his eyes. All of the hairs on our heads are counted, and he notices even a loss of that. These people that are doing this want that same power, that same visibility, to see all living creatures at once. And with the AI, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to imitate God. Now, I could get into some philosophical discussions for that, but I can guarantee you it's not for our benefit when they're doing it. Okay? I could go really down a far rabbit hole there, but let's just proceed forward. Again, look at Elana Freeland's stuff that I'm talking about here. Pam Jones for Liberty, look at hers. And also Rachel Reenstra's. And you'll get some comedy with Rachel, because she's an animal. She does animal things. She has a television show in L.A. where she presents different aspects of the animal kingdom. It's really interesting. But she throws in the chemtrail and some other things too. Okay, back to Elana Freeland. Under an ionized sky, chemtrails and the space fence lockdown. Just going to say a few things here. I am reading from some notes, so I hope you'll pardon me. This is geoengineering, geospatial intelligence engineering, and a control grid system, okay? Talking about the 5G and then the spraying of the nanotech to make everything so that this 5G intelligence and awareness can take place. Communications, a lot of things like that. She calls it something that I think she's right spot on. She says it's full spectrum dominance of planet Earth. All of planet Earth is the battle space, according to the people that are pushing this in the military-industrial complex, the deep state, and the New World Order. Quote, some may have hoped that when President Trump entered office that perhaps he would do something about this terrible technology. The truth is that this technology is entirely too valuable to other agendas. There is no way that it will be stopped, no matter what administration is in the White House. A lot of us are aware that Trump is aware of this program, maybe not in the depth that some of us have looked at it, but our hope that he was going to be able to shut it down, like a lot of other things we've been hoping he could do, he probably will not be able to do it. This is too large of a problem. How do we defeat it? Still by being loud, but it also has to do with exercising our consciousness, exercising our human activity to defeat the nanotech and the 5G communications that will try to change our DNA, okay, and our emphasis and our concentration, the things that are of interest to us. They want to put us in a virtual reality. Remember, one of the things that Ray Kurzweil said is he wanted to be God. And this is another way of doing that, being able to see everything at one time. All things are present with God, right? Well, Ray Kurzweil and his ilk that are pushing this, Gates, Schmidt, all these guys want this power to be able to look at anything and everything at once, whenever they desire. This is a problem, and it's not going to be used for our benefit. So the powers that are out there are just too much to try to stop it. What we have to try to do is keep our human aspect, our emotions, our love, and resist this takeover. And I don't know how easy that'll be. But part of it is that we retain our consciousness as human beings and those emotions. That's part of the fighting back of this. And she makes a point of that in her presentation. So maybe eventually we can get a hold of this technology and use it for good, for helping us to ascend to the stars. But at this point, it's going to be used to suppress us from getting there, just so that you know. Uh, I'm going to give you a little background of Elana, okay? She's the daughter of a U.S. Navy intel gentleman who was enmeshed in the military-industrial complex. This is right off her website. She contends that all major events and personalities in the U.S. political establishment over the past 50 years are tied to the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. She has a BA in creative writing. Again, she's not a scientist, but she can put 1 and 1 plus 2 together. And she has a master's in historiography, and that's right up my alley. So I understand how good that is in helping her to see this big picture. This is her talking, we face a formidable, armed, and determined enemy. They see us, who are trying to awaken, as the enemy. And the fact that we're trying to awaken the masses. The military has turned the sky into an antenna, and believe it or not, all of us, okay, with the nanotech. And this gets into some really crazy stuff about rings around the Earth at the equator, similarly to the one at Saturn, the planet Saturn, and things like that. And I think she's onto something here, as are the people that are presenting this information. But she says there are 3 components to the military, for the military of this. And that is that they are doing these chemtrails, the stratospheric aerosol injection in the skies, to connect everything as a processor, okay? Space, new Earth orbit, or near Earth orbit. In other words, when they talk about space, they don't mean like going to Mars. They're talking about near Earth orbit stuff, controlling the planet. And of course, human beings and transhumanism by altering our genetics, okay, with not just the implants, but the nanotech, plugging into the AI, which sounds good as far as being able to access information, but they can keep track of you at the same time. Do you see how that works? That's why Comey could say, your thoughts even belong to us. We have a right to even look at your thoughts. 5G, she says, shatters DNA. I'd have to agree with that. Okay, I'm not a biologist, but I can understand the principle. And there's another aspect of this about adding a 3rd strand of DNA. I don't want to get into that here, but that's another thing that would alter us as far as our humanity is concerned. And some of the people might say, this sounds really good. This is like what Jesus talked about. What God's plans are and what these guys are doing are entirely 2 different programs. Okay, but anyway. She talks about the space fence, right? And she says that there are 7 military intel ops that are served by geoengineering. Weather, environment, warfare, modification, environmental warfare, modification, which is warfare, planetary, geophysical operations, electrical, magnetic operations, like with plasma. Plasma is a 4th state of matter. Directed energy warfare operations, biological transhumanism ops, Morgellons disease, and the DNA manipulation I've already mentioned, surveillance operations, mind control, neurology. We've heard about that with this 5G, that they'll be able to actually hear your thoughts and even implant thoughts, voices, all kinds of things. Part of that is MK Ultra technology to the next level. And detection, obscuration of exotic in other words, learning about using exotic propulsion systems like anti-gravity. Those are the different things that she covered. She mentions the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and how dangerous it is. Again, these things could be used for good, but we know that these people aren't that's not their objective. Their objective is to put down the mass of humanity, killing many of them, and ascending as the gods over the earth, rather than pushing us forward as a species. They've been doing everything that they can to destroy most of us in our morality, in our understanding of life, in our relationships with one another, men and women especially. They've really attacked that. What our sex is and its purpose, its wonderful purpose, has been so debased and disrespected, and these people are a great deal at fault for that. So we had that situation with Jade Helm a few years ago that was testing the geospatial intelligence information, figuring out where people are. I saw some direct things happen there. I won't get into any details, but that has been exercised, and they know, I think, that the system is up and running, and that's before they were really energizing the 5G network. So the space fence apparatus purpose, this is kind of the next thing she talked about, is to track space debris, legitimate, but also count what's on the Earth. Watch what's on the Earth. Surveil everything that is on the Earth down to the size of a mini chip. That's what I mean. The animals, even a blade of grass, trees, but mostly human beings, because we're the enemy. Remember that. Space situational awareness, which includes us. We are now the primary object of study. We are now the studied species in preparation for the transhumanist future. Not a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. Not a good thing at all. Then she talks about the nanoparticle placement, which will be placed over the Earth as well. Some efforts to neutralize the Van Allen belts, which could have some really bad ramifications. But a lot of things are happening there. The idea is to make the Earth a transmitter. So who are they trying to contact? They've got CERN for different dimensional deals, and then they want to have some contact out in space. Again, it could be used for good, but knowing these people, it probably isn't. She gets into some other things here, which I probably shouldn't get into. Go look at her presentation. I think I'll kind of leave it there. The point of all of this is that this 5G technology is a dangerous thing to mankind, indeed to all life, the way they're implementing it and what their purpose is. This is imitating God's omniscience and omnipotence. So this is a form of building the Tower of Babel. Just like the CERN side, we've got this as well. This could be very, very, very bad. Everybody's always an enemy. They're never trying to take us together and build us towards a beneficial goal. Now, I realize that you have to be careful. You can't trust everybody. But there is a way to move mankind forward without constant warfare. There really is. I'm going to summarize here and then I'll leave you. And I wrote this down too, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it. And I'll explain it to you this way. The Earth is kind of a mess. We've really messed it up. We really have. Some of it's due to the Industrial Revolution, but a lot of it's due to the mad scientists that are spraying the air, putting the glyphosate in the ground, the poisons, the DNA situation, all of that. The splicing of DNA and making new species, all kinds of things. A lot of really bad stuff. And you might wonder why God allows all this to happen. Well, let me point something out to you. When you have a baby born, they're really innocent, right? But look how messy they are. They never clean up after themselves. They leave things where they use them. They basically litter their environment, right? Okay? What you have to do is train them, and it takes a long time. God does things slowly. It's never really, really fast like these guys are trying to do, right? Everything's kind of slow. And a baby grows up into a child, and it starts to learn some discipline under the direction of its parents, right? And then as it grows up, it starts to clean up after itself. It starts to take some responsibility. You kind of get the picture here of what's happening? That's what this earth is for us. This is our place to grow up so that we can be orderly in God's house, which will be our house. We will be given our own house. And I know this is starting to get out into some spiritual, religious, more spiritual topics. But let me read this for you real quick. The earth is God's provision of a playpen for his children and the neighbor's children. And I could get into what that means, but not right now. Children are messy, destructive. Not until they grow and mature, if they do, and that's how you know whether they're ready to go out on their own, have their own job, their own family, etc. Only after they grow and mature are they set free to then go out and do their own environment, to order their own environment. As we grow, we get more and more privileged as we move from a messy, destructive nature, even though it's innocent at first, into higher responsibility. We need to show God that we're ready to make that move. Yes, it is collective in that regard, although there is, I think, individual rewards. But we want us all to move together. I look at our people and I want us all to go forward. And I think most of us have those same ideas unless we're selfish. And certainly the elites are selfish. Not all of them, but certainly the ones that are running this, like Clinton, the Rothschilds, the New World Order. So what's our answer to all this that's going on? How do we fight this 5G thing? Well, we've got to insist that it not be used as a weapon against us, but we don't know how easy that's going to be. Even Trump can't seem to fight it, okay? She mentioned that this thing is going to go and there's nothing that can stop it. So that we have to remain as human as we can, which is kind of why I said what I said on my live stream last night, to make sure that we keep love and emotion and our relationships, right? Be human. So what I'm going to say is how do we respond to this? Get off our phones, stop looking down, look at the sky, see what they're doing, but more important, live. Be human in that you keep your relationships, your loves, your contacts, all right, your children, your wife, your husband, your friends, that you go out and you see the beautiful world that's been created, and that you connect with it, okay? But mostly each other. I think that's the real thing. She says, and I agree with her, that the survival skill that we need now more than ever includes consciousness, being aware. She makes the point, and I'm not going to disagree with her on this, it kind of goes along with my whole idea of the spiritual development of both spirit and matter coming together and moving forward, okay? She says that consciousness preceded matter. Not quite sure that's true. I think it's a different form of it, but let's just take it for what it is. Consciousness preceded matter. Thus, it is consciousness that has the generative power. And that I would agree with, okay, for what that's worth. A little expansion on why I'm concerned about the chemtrails. Included in this, as a matter of fact, I'll just stop right now and end my presentation on this and have you go look at this short clip that I did while I was traveling back home so that you can see it. I didn't have a strong enough signal to live stream it at the time, but look at this and understand that these are not condensation trails, okay? They are trying to change the atmosphere for their purposes, especially with this 5G system that they're about ready. Well, they are activating at this point. And then I'll come back and just say a few more words. Hey everyone, this is Roy Potter of the Potter Expositor, and I don't know if you can see this. I wanted to do a live stream. It's May 5th. I put up one this morning about the little thing with the Judge Ellis and the 26,000 indictments, and I don't know if you can see this, but they have really increased this atmospheric stratospheric aerosol injection, otherwise known as chemtrails. This is the worst I've seen in a long time, and I just don't know if you can see all this. They are really upping the game on this. They are increasing this far, far more than they ever have. Look at all these current trails. I hope you can see this. I don't know if you can, but this is absolutely unbelievable what's going on here. That's going to be right towards the sun, which is dimmed actually from all of this. I mean, these are not normal clouds. They sprayed all night in this area, all night, and they're continuing today. So they've really, really increased. What are they getting ready to do now? 5G, you know, they're really going to start hitting us with that stuff, with all the nanotech that's in this, not to mention, you know, what diseases, what bioweapons are they putting in this stuff now, if they are. Wouldn't surprise me, but this is absolutely insane. The sky should be clear today. There's no storm activity anywhere in this area, anywhere. All of this is chemtrails. I don't know if you can even tell, because this isn't my best camera. That's why I want to do a live stream, but I don't have a strong enough signal to do it. This is just insane what they are doing here. Absolutely insane. And I don't know if you can see that. This is warfare, ladies and gentlemen. There is no doubt about it. This is warfare. This is not condensation trails. That is not what these are. And people that say that they are, they're part of the problem. Either because they're ignorant or because they're part of the deception. But this is really, really bad here. And I just had to I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I'll let you go. This is a major attack on mankind, on the earth, on all life. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if these people aren't trying. See, there's another one coming across right there. I don't know if you can see it. Right next to the last one, and there's another one. They are just spraying the hell out of this place. Okay, out here for now. All right. You can tell I was a little upset about that because it really changed the beautiful sky into that mess. Okay. Again, as I said at the beginning, I have listed 4 contacts in the description box. Lionel, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer, Jerome Corsi, and Rachel Reestra, with their contact information. I have tried to approach them. I have sent contact information to them to see if they would be willing to discuss some of their topics with me on my program. So I'm never going to ask you for money or try to sell anything. I know I've talked about my book, but that's kind of another, books actually, but the Crimson Thread is, of course, it just gives you an insight if you want that information about why I look at things in Christianity the way I do, but historically. But besides that, I don't do Patreon, PayPal, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. A lot of people are making an issue of Q reporters getting money. Well, so, I mean, the MSM gets money, so that's not a big deal to me. A lot of it has to do with intent, but that's not really the purpose of my video today. What I am saying is that I'm just asking you if you would help me get the attention of these people and just so that they see more attempts at contact than just from me. And all you need to say when you write them is, go on Roy Potter's program. That's all you need to do, okay? And give Roy Potter QA so that they can go look at the YouTube channel, or you can say, look at his Twitter account at Royston Potter, and all of that, of course, is available here on my channel for your information. So if you would do that for me, I would be very appreciative of it, so that we could have some more discussions and expand on all this information that we really need to do. I'm not the only one doing it, and I don't mean to steal from other people's programs, but I just think that the approach, the slightly different insight that we have on this channel, the way that I approach things and talk about the subject matter, has an applicability that we need today. And so I hope that these people will take note, and after you've contacted them, be so kind as to contact me. And the best way to do it is probably the best way to do it is to DM me, direct message me on Twitter. They all can do it. I'm following them, so all they have to do is follow me. A couple of them already do. But then just send me a direct message, and that way they don't have to, give me any really private information at this point. We can discuss it that way, okay? Thanks, everybody. That's all for today. We'll be doing some live streams a little later this week, and thank you for coming. Remember to keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. Keep your situational awareness. Pray, stay out of the way, as always. God bless you. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. And may God bless President Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors. And may the dews of heaven distill upon him the spirit of discernment, that he will know right from wrong and have the courage to do the right thing. Out here for now. Take care.